Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick and I'm from IGS Electronics, and today we're going to be checking out Siemens S7-1200 series PLC, and there's going to be two parts for this particular part of the PLC. So the first one we're going to be looking at today is ins and outs about the PLC's wiring, all the terminals, how things work all around it. Pretty much check the review of the actual controller itself. So that's what we're going to do. And in the second video we're going to be checking out creating a small little program and look a bit how to upload the program, how to download the program, and ins and outs, talk about a little bit about the firmwares itself, how they work, and how to sort of more or less explore everything that you need to know about the controller itself. You can find out in the Siemens website, and I'll leave those links in the description below. But this video today is all about the wiring and the terminals. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. There's a lot more, because there's a lot more hardware I want to check it out with these controllers. There's a whole lot of additions you can add. So we're going to, as we progressing with the videos, we'll be adding and checking them all out. So all the related videos, everything like that will be in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started. Here we are. So the controller is on. So the first thing we're going to do, let's open up the lids and take them off so you can properly see. So first thing what we're going to talk about, do ignore these two guys in here. These are going to be coming up in upcoming videos, and this one is going to be, it's just a very basic, because I am using a HMI, which is part of the network as well. So I'm using the Simatic Net, which has got 4 ports in here where I can connect all my Ethernet units here, so in one block. And then this is my main one coming in. This is a controller, and right in the bottom is for my HMI. But that's, again, this is going to be smart control, and this one we're going to be checking out in future videos. So the first thing we're going to go through, you're going to have a look at this one in here. If you look at the CPU 1212C, this is mainly the main, this is the actual family itself. And if you notice, often you will see the CPU 1212C, they've got different part numbers. It's purely because they go to certain stage of the firmware, and then the Siemens says, right, this is as far as we're going to go with this particular controller. Let's change the part number so we can start the firmware from a new firmware for the next controller. And that's pretty much why you're seeing those different part numbers for the same family of CPUs. Doesn't mean that the controller is different in any way. Yes, the firmware is, and if you're not reaping really the benefits of the actual firmware as well, which you're going to be checking out in the next video, you don't really need to upgrade. But if you do want to reap the benefits of the firmware, basically firmware is like a Windows. If you would upgrade the Windows, like Windows 7, Windows 10, blah, blah, blah. If you want to go from one to another, one is better than another, or newer, or whatever, if you want to do that, you have that option, but the actual hardware itself pretty much stays the same. So these guys in the AC DC relay, the AC will the first marking will always going to be your power source, and as you can see, mine is a 120 volts to 240 volts if you are there in the middle somewhere. So the second one, the middle one, is always to stand for your inputs. So it says in the DC, so our inputs are DC, and the last one says relay, and obviously that would represent the outputs. So that's how you look at the controllers. If you says DC DC DC, it will be DC supply, DC input, and transistor output. So just to give you an idea what these letters mean in here. So right in here we have a 24 volt DC output, and you can use that one forever you wish. So you can power your inputs, you can power your outputs if you wish. It doesn't really matter. So in my case, I am actually using this 24 volt DC, and I'm powering my card in here. Just no reason, just a store. I don't know, because I think that would be cabling, because I had cabling just matching for that. So when it comes down to inputs working actually exactly like your any light source would do. It needs a line and a neutral. So pretty much L1M in here will pretty much represent your negative part of your power supply you are using to switch your inputs. So I'm using T for that. So I'm keeping my outputs away from my inputs, and I'm using different power supplies for both of them, just to make sure they don't interfere with each other depending on what I'm putting on those outputs in there. So as you can see down there, my negative part coming in from my power supply, and then the plus sign in here, as you can see on the switches down here, the plus is coming here, as you can see, TT plus in here, powering all these inputs in here, and then these inputs, every time I click in here, will send the 24 volt back to designated input, whatever I send that wire to be. So as you can see, when I click it, my first switch, as you can see there, input 1 comes on, and that's how your inputs are wired. And the last one in here you see in here, that's your analog input, which you're going to be checking out in a separate video, and how that works, and we're going to be checking out how to set up in a program as well. This slot in here is your SD card slot, but that SD card, it has to be made by Siemens with the MSC format, so you can't just put in a standard SD card. It will not work because the format is different. And when you do have a Siemens SD card, try not to format it in the Windows, because that will destroy the card and it will be all over. So the next you're going to be looking at, this is your Ethernet port. So in olden days it used to be called Profibus, now it's called Profinet. So this is where your network well, the cable for the communications will go with your laptop or whatever you're trying to communicate with. In my case, I'm sending that into my I call it splitter, and that pretty much works with my network. Outputs. When it comes down to the outputs, you can see down here you go to 1L and 2L. You can send in whatever the voltage you want into L's. L's is classed as comms. So let's say in my case, I'm sending in 24 volts in here. So if I'm trying to power a coil or whatever, in my case is the lamps. So that comes to my lamps in here. As you can see, I got negative, S negative on one side of the lamps, and these pluses to activate them will come from the relay, and that's all it really does. It takes this 24 volt as the relay comes on. We're going to be checking out in the future videos. You send out 24 volts through that cable and sends it into the lamp and activates whatever you're trying to activate. And that's pretty much what your relays do. And you can have L1 can be 24 volts, and L2, because they're isolated, as you can see the lines in here, L2 can be, I don't know, 220 volts if you wish to, 240 volts, 115 volts, or it could be AC 24 volts, whatever. They are, because they are relays, they can work with any voltage. So I mean, with transistors, then it'll be a different story. We're going to be checking that out because I have a transistor card right in here. We're going to be checking that out in a separate video. So, and the last but not least is this guy in here. A lot of you probably wondering what that is. This in here, you can add additional cards like that. So if you look at this guy in here, this one's got analog inputs and analog output. It's quite expensive unit, and you say you want just one analog input extra, or you got analog input in there, say I'll probably need another one. Or you want, like me, you want to send in temperature, but you don't want to buy a temperature card full because it's a lot more quite expensive. You can get something like these. It's substantially, and I mean substantially cheaper than actually buying that. That's what that slot is for. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will cover the S1200 oh, this is temperature card. S1200 PLC. So hopefully that's giving you a good understanding how to wire it, what each terminal does, and how to understand your family itself and your readout of the inputs and outputs. So so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like, ask any questions if you have. I will answer them as soon and as accurate as I can. Don't forget to subscribe if you like what we do here. So on that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.